if you click on the little arrow there, does it have audio?
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Maribel.
Hi, how
Thanks
are
for being
you?
here.
So am I gonna be on a separate to do the recording for the Spanish speaking?
I'm sorry, Maribel, what did you say?
I said, am I gonna be in a separate, like I get separated with the Spanish speaking so I can speak simultaneously?
Yeah, that will just automatically happen if someone chooses Spanish
Okay,
on their little globe at the bottom.
okay. Do I have to dial in a number or am I gonna be moved there as well?
Nope, you're good right where you are.
Okay, great.
Are we all ready? Good evening and welcome to the board meeting.
The board will now convene open session and report out from closed session. Live streaming on YouTube will begin now for the open session of the Board of Education meeting. The URL for YouTube live streaming may be found on the NHUSD Board of Education webpage just before the meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. If you are joining us online via Zoom webinar and you would like to provide public comment for this meeting, you may do so by utilizing the raise your hand option in Zoom. Or if you are calling in by phone, please press *9 and wait to be called on. Community members may still provide public comments to the board prior to each meeting via email at publiccomment@nhusd.k12.ca.us. There were no comments provided to the board for tonight's meeting via the public comment email address. I would like to remind the public that we will not be responding to questions posed by those making public comments. Relative to items 3.1 through 3.5, there was no action taken by the board in closed session. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have roll call, please?
Campbell.
Here.
Ishihara.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Gwen Mallory.
Here.
Shima.
All right, we are on 5.3, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Aye.
Ishihara.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Gwen Mallory.
Aye. We're on item 5.4, the land acknowledgement. Do you want to read that, Trustee Gonzalez?
Sure. Okay, we want to open up this meeting by acknowledging with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context as if they left on their own accord, when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, U.S. colonization. By recognizing we stand on the occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. The next item on our agenda is item 6.1. These are for hearing of visitors on topics not on the agenda. So if you are joining us in person or by Zoom and you want to make comments on items not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Are there any speakers? Yes. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Anyone that goes over 2 minutes will be muted. And please, if you will state your name for reference.
No problem. Good evening. My name is Mario Zarazua. I am a long-term Union City resident. When I mean by long-term, I mean my family's been here since the 1930s. So, this is probably not on the agenda. This is something that just came to me last week. It has to do with the fee schedule for using of fields. I was informed that Union City Football League will not be having a season this year because we can't afford to use the fields. It's kind of disheartening. Speaking with some of the players and some of the parents, the fact that we're not going to be able to have a football season because of the new fee schedule that was put in place, it hurts. It hurts big. All these boys and the girls on the cheerleading squad have had to sit out a whole year during all this COVID stuff. being that we're given the opportunity to play, and we told that we're not gonna be able to play because we can't afford the new fees, it hurts. It hurts bad. I understand, we need to make money, I get it, I'm a capitalist like anybody else. However, I don't think you can make money on the backs of the kids. I mean, every other city around here, Hayward, Fremont, are all having seasons, and we're not, we're the only city not. I mean, I don't know what we can do to rectify it, I don't know even if there's a path to rectify it, it's just something that doesn't sit right with me, being that I'm a long-term community resident, and knowing the history of Union City, way before it even became a city in 1959, even before the school district was even around, where my grandparents were the first senior class at James Logan High School, and knowing that they went to school at Washington High School, it bugs me to the point where it's like, I'm here. You know what I mean? I totally understand the purpose of making some money off of the usage of the fields. If it was just an adult league, that's fine, but for the kids, I don't know. It doesn't, we're here for the kids, bottom line, nobody else. That's all I have on that. I tried to get some more information from some of the other leagues around. It's hard to get adults to want to go ahead and communicate with it, especially since, you know, everybody's got busy schedules. It's tough. So, you know, I mean,
Thank you.
I know it's not on the agenda, but hopefully we can figure something out.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Do we have any more speakers? Okay. Moving on to item 7.1, which is hearing of visitors on topics on the agenda. Are there any speakers who wish to speak to us via Zoom? Please raise your hand on Zoom and we will call on you one at a time. Do we have any speakers? Yeah. May Chan, you are the first person.
Hi.
Unmute yourself and-
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, perfect.
Yes.
Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Thompson, and New Haven staff and community. My name is May Chan. I'm speaking on item 13.2 of the agenda, appointing Tricia To as the new Fiscal Services Director for the district. I would like to say that as the former Fiscal Services Director for the last 4 years and having Tricia working alongside me as the manager of the departments, I'm so excited for her and I'm very happy for the district when I learned of her impending appointment. Tricia shadowed me and together we created departments that handled some eventful up and down seamlessly with calm and consistent quality services to our internal and external customers. I have no doubt that Tricia will continue the good work we've started and take it to a higher level. I just wanted to share that and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next?
It looks like there are no other speakers.
Okay. There are no other speakers, then we will move on. Our next item is item 8.1, presentation of new logo options for NHUSD. I believe, Dr. Thompson, you are beginning with this.
Yes, I'll take the lead on that. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. Or is that, am I sharing my screen or are we doing it via, oh, we're going to do that? I can share it. All right. Hold on. Here. All right. Just a second.
Boardroom computer.
Oh, okay, I can do it too if you want me, it's whatever works for you guys. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll kick it off, and then I'll have Mr. Matos, who's been the lead with the Communication and Advocacy Committee, walk through the steps in the process, and then we also have the consulting group that's been helping us available as well. So we began this process, it was almost a year ago where we underwent the process to look for a new logo. The board designated this task to the Communication and Advocacy Committee, which has gone through quite a process to come up with options to upgrade our logo, to make it, at the very least, more culturally and gender-based, more up to speed from where more aligned with our priorities and our values. So we have put together a little presentation for you, and I think, Mr. Matos, I'll kick it over to you at this point. Walk us through.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. That is going to be a chat. All right, let me unmute myself.
Muchas gracias al señor Thomas.
My name is John Matos. I'm Director of Digital Services, and I am thrilled to be a part of the
El director de servicios y por parte de la abogacía.
We hear the Spanish interpretation at the same time here. Is there any way that can be heard?
We're working on that.
Yeah. So those of you, if anybody's watching this out there, this is our first meeting where we're doing both a live board meeting and a virtual board meeting at the same time. So,
And having it translated contemporaneously at the same time.
and we're being translated at the same time, so bear with us a minute here.
All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and try. So again, my name is John Matos, a member of the district board subcommittee on communication advocacy. And back in April, the board approved a contract with our partner, Spark Inbound Marketing, who is, among other things, working with us to get us an updated logo, brand refresh, and a number of other sort of things. The folks at Spark have been good, wonderful partners with us so far. As they learned, as they strove to learn what our community wanted, we gave
Y
them
entonces lo que están ayudando a ver lo que quiere la comunidad.
We also gave them survey results that
También tenían una encuesta que se les pasó.
To the community, and to help Spark kind of come up with a visual idea of what we were looking
Para
for.
ver
We
una cosa
also
visual.
gave logos that they thought best represented New Haven Unified. With all that information, Spark
Entonces,
generated about
generaron como
members of the communication advocacy team reviewed those logos, provided
así.
input. And the team, Spark's team took them,
Y
they
después el
whittled
equipo
them
lo
down, another half a dozen for us to consider. There were some further refinements and revising of those logos.
más y editoriándolos.
Three logos now that we think do a really nice job in terms of reflecting the district's
Es una buena manera de reflejar la calidad del distrito.
Equity, community, diversity, and inclusivity.
Diversidad e
And
inclusividad.
so, sharing the
Entonces, compartiendo esto,
input and feedback. We are also, we began a survey of our community regarding
también
their
la
feelings about each
comunidad de cómo ellos ven esto.
that board's feedback will be used to provide the communication and advocacy board committee some direction. So with
Para
that, I would like to
dirección de la comunidad y una encuesta para lo que van a estar haciendo con el logo.
three different logos.
Entonces vas a repasar los tres diferentes logos. También van a dar el resultado en la reunión que tengan agosto 17.
Christy, if you want to try to unmute yourself?
Yes, working on it. Apologies. Here we go. Okay, and the host has stopped our video. If you would like us to be on video, feel free to turn that back on. Can you grab where's the notes? And hold on. Sorry, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. It was a little bit hard to hear you, Mr. Matos, so I apologize if I end up repeating anything that you have already said.
Christy,
Okay.
hold on.
Yes.
We're still trying to figure out the two audio channels here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, why don't you try now?
Okay. So thank you all for having us here tonight. My name is Christy Spar. I am the president of Spark Marketing. I have Stephanie Gabriel, who is our creative director. Very happy to have been able to work with the communications. Yeah, thank you.
Está hablando con comunicación.
I don't know why, but so we're gonna have to stop the session, I think, until we, I mean, it's working on other websites, so I don't know.
Maribel, we're gonna, hold this on mute for a little bit, and then we'll pull you back in just a minute, okay? Thank you.
Sorry, folks. Thought we had these things, but no. Well, we knew they were going to be a few, so, all right, we'll move on from here. Christy, are you still there?
Okay, yes, hi, I'm still here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, thumbs up. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
great, okay. Wonderful. So thank you again for having us. This process that we've been going through with the Communications and Advocacy Committee has been really wonderful so far. We've been working with the committee for several months to create a logo that would reflect the district's tradition of excellence and set a tone for continued leadership and innovation going forward. We've really appreciated the process, which has been very collaborative, including valuable input from the community, both upfront and actually real time right now. We're collecting additional input from the community, which has been super valuable. We've had some really heartwarming and inspiring ideas from the New Haven Unified Student community as well, and some really helpful, valuable strategic guidance from the committee. So thank you for all of that. And we look forward today to gathering feedback from the board, from you all, as we continue to collect the community feedback and continue our work on creating a new district logo. So we can go ahead and we'll talk about logo A here. So little, backstory for each of these logos and just kind of tell you a little bit about our thought process and how we landed at these three different variations. So one of the big storylines that we want to talk about with New Haven Unified is that the district really does lead the way in cutting edge education and enrichment activities, preparing your East Bay students for success. So this logo really amplifies that strong sense of pride and tradition, and also that reflects this innovative mindset for the district. So the key elements of this logo, which you'll see, are that sort of pathway idea, pathway to success with the star representing pride and innovation. Also, you know, colors, and again, colors are something that we work with as we go through the logo design process, but we'll be looking to create a color scheme for the brand that reflects that sense of community and inclusivity, and really being a welcoming brand for the district. So that is logo A. And I just want to make one note, kind of early results from community feedback is that they're also seeing that sense of innovation and pride in this logo. Okay, logo B. This is our student-inspired logo. So thinking about New Haven's long tradition of excellence and highlighted by leadership and innovation and academic and enrichment programs, this logo was inspired by students who contributed their ideas about what the New Haven School District means to them. So the light bulb featured in this logo is a clear mark of innovation. And then the N and the H within the logo representing that sense of pride and tradition with the district. And then the surrounding circle representing equity, diversity, and inclusivity. So a lot of things being reflected here in this logo. And again, early feedback from community members is showing that they feel that this logo is innovative, that it reflects community and diversity. Okay. Logo C. This logo, I want to say up front that our community feedback on this one shows that they see diversity, community, and innovation, which is excellent because we see this logo representing three key things. One, the uneven playing field and this idea of equity that the district is trying to overcome and support. Equitable supports, so each of the colors bringing together the letter shapes show a response to sort of this uneven playing field that we acknowledge exists and believing in the district's commitment to equity. And then this high bar of equality that we seek to achieve is the yellow bar going across. So again, the community is seeing a lot of these concepts that we're going for with this concept, which is diversity, community, innovation, and of course, equity. So those are our three, and we are looking forward to your feedback and continuing to gather feedback from the community in order for us to continue to work with the committee on refining these concepts.
Okay, so the next steps in the process it's time for the board to provide any, Trustee Nishihara and Clerk Mallory have been involved with the development phase of it, so they're pretty aware of what's going on, but Trustee Gonzalez and Trustee Thomas, you haven't had the opportunity to weigh in, so you can do that. We will get the results of the survey that Ms. Farr was referencing. We'll have that available. We'll have your input available. We have a communication advocacy meeting next week where we will review all of that. And then the hope is to come to the board on the 17th and ask the board to select a new logo based on that feedback. There's any questions or comments?
I do have a comment. They're all wonderful suggestions, so we really have to think about this very carefully because they're great suggestions. Thank you so much for your hard work and leading the work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo those thoughts. I thought they were all very well done. I seem to be just looking at the logo, you know, that catches my eye. The themes are great, you know, but at the end of the day, we're just gonna focus on the logo, or people remember the logo, they'll see that image around, and so I have my favorite on there, and yeah, I'll share that at that time. But great job.
Trustee Nishihara, do you want to say anything about the process?
Yeah, the process was really, really good. We started off with a creative brief where we kind of outlined what we were trying to get out of the logo. And among all the things that Christy and John Matos talked about, you really got to kind of look at logo systems and design systems in terms of a few things. One is just like scannability, can you recognize it from 30 feet away and things like that? Is it modular? I actually think that what really struck me out of this was I went into this with very open-minded. And what I would say is my particular favorite, which I won't say is right now, is kind of was a fruit of the process. Actually, when Spark Marketing came up with their, I think the initial one was, I forgot the initial crop was 8 or 9. There was a lot, right? And my favorite then was actually not my favorite now. It wasn't until actually we talked through it and talked through the creative process, and we started seeing things that we didn't know was already there. And so that was a really fun part for me. But I think the biggest part about this is, will you be able to tell a story about this? I mean, you have to look at the overall context of our current logo and the challenges with it, with that logo and the new logo. I think it'd be really good to be able to compare and contrast where we've been with where we're going. So I'm very excited to have the team come together and then figure out where we go together, because the identity is a really important part of who we are.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Nishio, for all your hard work, and Mr. Matos and Ms. Barr and the whole team. I think these are all really great options for, and I have a hard time, I think, picking the favorite one. Okay, if there's nothing else, information only. So
Is there any, because the output of this information item is so that we can actually provide guidance, further guidance to our firm. Is there any guidance from Member Canlis or Member Gonzalez in any that might alter any of the directions for us, or we'll just continue to get community feedback and take it from there? I mean, is there anything specific you'd like to see?
What are you looking for?
Just things that things that you think are missing, or things that you think are off or wrong, or anything like that.
Well, I think they did a good job,
Okay.
including all the information that I would like to see there. I have to share that I'm glad that there were no people on it.
Yeah.
And it makes it look more neutral and allows for inclusiveness. And that itself shows inclusiveness. So thank you for doing that. When I looked at it, I wasn't thinking about further guidance. I thought that these were the suggestions, and so I chose from the selection rather than looking for what's missing. Because they're very rich. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just on logo C, the NHU, just a little confusing at first glance, but you read on there, it's unified there. Some may have been confused with just the consistency that, everything else is NH, and then that has the NHU. So I'm thinking, at first glance, it's a university or something, but we'll see how it goes.
thank you. All right, so next we have 8.2, returning to in-person instruction plans. This is a presentation by Mr. Thompson.
Okay, well, we've been preparing for this moment since March of 2020, when we first closed down, when the pandemic hit, and we've had many versions of reopening plans that have come forward. And I know that there's concern and some trepidation out there about reopening schools, but personally, I'm very excited that we will be welcoming our students and staff back fully in a week or so here. And I think we have a plan in place that will allow us to do that effectively and as safely as we can. So what I wanted to do is take a few minutes tonight and share some of the details of the plan, and then later on down the line, there in the action section, we'll ask the board to formally approve our plan. So the plan, and one of the things I'm going to do is share my screen and highlight for anybody that's watching how you can access this plan and any of the other information that we will continue to update as things move along. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Let's see. If you can see, my screen that I'm sharing is our website. And for anybody that's wanting to know where to find the most recent information, including our plan, our website is the place where you go. So if you go down to the plan right here, down to the spotlight section of our website, and you click on the reopening plan information link, it'll take you to where our most current and up-to-date information will consistently be. And our plan is here. So this is a plan that should look pretty familiar. It is the plan, it's the same format as the plan that was adopted by the board. I think the last time we had the board adopt it was in March. And it's been updated with the current guidelines. Before I highlight some of the sections and a couple of the areas, I just wanted to let the board know, and anybody who's listening, that the plan reflects the current requirements that are in place. And we follow guidance on our end in 3 areas. We first look to the Alameda County Public Health Department. They have the ability to be the most restrictive or the most conservative in terms of what they're recommending and requiring. For example, the current mask mandate that came out yesterday and is effective today came out from the Alameda County Public Health Department. So we look to them first. When they're silent on any of the guidance or requirements, we then look to the California Department of Public Health and follow their requirements and recommendations. And then if they're silent in any particular area, we turn to the CDC, the federal agency. So the plan it was designed with the idea that it incorporates all of the requirements, the most restrictive of the requirements in that order, and from those agencies in that order. And then it incorporates as many of the recommendations from those agencies that we can practically implement here. So there isn't, I think, a single school district out there that's able to implement every single recommendation from all 3 of those agencies. It's just they're recommendations for a reason. That they're in a perfect world, maybe some of them could be, you could do all of them. But I don't know of any district that's able to do that. We aren't able to do that either. I think all 3 of those agencies have the philosophy that they want to have the base level safety requirements in place to make sure that things can be as safe as they can be. And they don't want to do anything that would limit schools from being able to reopen, because all 3 agencies have publicly stated that they believe that schools should be open and we can do it safely. And I agree with them. So those are 2 of the areas. We follow the guidance from those 3 agencies. We have the requirements all there, the recommendations as we can implement them in there as well. And the last element that's important for everybody to remember is that things will probably change. They changed again today. We are wearing masks here at the dais because of the new requirement that went into effect today. And so yesterday wouldn't have been mandatory in this setting here. So, we'll adapt. We have for over a year now, and we'll continue to do so. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight some of the different areas of the plan. Again, if you remember our old plan, same format, the same basic categories. It has a lot of introductory information in sections 1, 2, and 3. And then we get into some of the real detailed parts about cleaning, disinfecting, physical distancing, things like that. And then towards the end, we have resource sections for that were provided both for our students and our parents. One thing that I think is worth we had prior to putting this plan in place, we surveyed our community when the new guidance came out in mid-July, and got over 1,000 responses to about what our community felt were things that we should consider in the plan. And then we also held an community information night last Thursday and shared a lot of that information as well, and got a little more feedback. I'm going to I can share with you in the community where that feedback was summarized. So again, going back to our website, if you go to the frequently asked question section right here, this is a document that was initially produced after we sent out the survey, and it highlights the different areas that came up in that survey with questions asked. We're in the process of updating it based on the feedback we got from the community at our session last Thursday as well. But the plan that we have before you tonight reflects those areas and the updates that I think we've got everything that was brought to our attention, and plus all the requirements and as many recommendations as we could incorporate as well here. So, one of the things that came out from the community questionnaire was that people seem to be a little confused about the idea that why don't we just offer distance learning in our schools again for those that want it, kind of like we did last year. But and I think all of you know, but it's worth restating that what allowed us to be able to function in a distance learning world last year was a result of an executive order that waived the Ed Code requirements that all students are present in class or enrolled in an independent study program. That order expired on June 30th, so the Ed Code is in place, and every school district in California has to either have students in their classrooms at the start of the year for 180 days, full schedules, or allow students to enroll in an independent study option, which is what we have. And we spent a fair amount of time on Thursday night going over our independent study options as well. If you can go down in the section 3 of this plan, educational options, we also have more information about the independent study programs found here too. So I'll just do a quick skim through the plan and highlight just a couple sections that I think are of most interest to people. This is again the section I was talking about, section 3, where we have anybody interested in our independent study options can find information here, and also in the enrollment section on our website. We have quite a few people enrolling that have opted into our Personalized Learning Academy. I know the director over there has been very busy trying to get people enrolled. Anyway, lots of information there. I'll highlight a couple things and then I'll turn it over for questions. One important step when it comes to cleaning that I think is good for everybody to know is that the Maintenance and Operations Department having summer school was really nice. They were able to pilot a couple different options for cleaning. No school district has as much staff as they would like for custodial and maintenance and operations. However, we have enough to do what we need to do. And they modeled a technique by which every classroom is disinfected every day. So there's a difference between cleaning and disinfecting. And cleaning is using a soap and wiping things down that need to be wiped down. Disinfecting is using a product that you spray on hard surfaces and other areas that kills any germ, any pathogen that's present. The guidance at the federal and state level basically only requires disinfecting if there's been an exposure. But our Maintenance and Operations Director, Jason Rogers, worked on a technique where he has a team of 2 people going through in every classroom, every day, spot cleaning, followed by disinfecting of every space that students are. So it's above and beyond what the recommendations are, and something that will ensure that for at least once a day, all of the areas that students inhabit will be completely disinfected, which is again a step above cleaning. So that's nice. There's information about ventilation. As you know, we have the MERV 13 filters, which are the filters that can actually filter particles the size of a virus out of the air. It's worth pointing out that in some districts, some of our neighboring districts, for example, are trying to bring in the portable HEPA-based filters in classrooms. But if you take a look at their HVAC systems, the districts I'm aware of don't have the HEPA 13 filter or the MERV 13 filters in there, so they're trying to compensate for that lack of the filtration we have. The best filtration system we have is our HVAC units. It flips the air 3 to 4 times an hour, and all that air is pushed right through a filter that filters out viruses and bacteria. So we feel really comfortable about that. Physical distancing is another hot topic, and for very good reason. So we have, there are no physical distancing requirements by either the local, state or federal agencies, as long as masks are worn in classrooms. That said, prior to the end of the last school year, we had all of our principals go around and check all of their rooms to see how many rooms could be set up in a way that would keep students 3 feet apart, which was the last recommended guidance. And the majority of our classrooms can be set up that way. Right now, Mr. McNamara sent out a checklist to all of our principals saying that every room should be optimized that way if possible. And I think by and large, particularly the elementary level, we'll be able to get most of our rooms that way. There may be a couple classes a few classes at the secondary level, the middle school and high school, where that's just not possible. But again, it's not required. We're just taking that as an extra step to implement, just basically not just 3 feet, but in some classrooms, for example, kindergarten classrooms, they may be able to spread students further than 3 feet apart. But the goal is working with our staff to try to maximize that distance to the degree possible, and in most cases, we'll be able to keep that distance at 3 feet or more, with some exceptions. We do have some other options for teachers that, again, our HVAC systems are perfectly fine. The best thing you can do if you want good clean air, close your classroom doors, close your windows, and let that system work. Those fans start working 2 hours before school starts, and they go 2 hours afterwards, and they run continuously. So you don't even hear them. The only thing you hear is when the units kick on to heat or cool, but that the HVAC systems are, again, flipping air 3 to 4 times in the classroom every hour. So it's a great way to do it, even with classrooms that have more, that are positioned in a way where students can't be completely 3 feet apart. So it's still our best effective mechanism at putting clean air through there. We do have, if there are needs in some cases, to add some more circulation. We have fans available for any teacher that needs that or wants that to keep the air moving within the classroom as well. So we've got that as an option too. A couple of other areas I'll highlight again. I think we could spend quite a bit of time going through all of this. I think we're all aware of the new mask requirements. Masking is required indoors. There's no requirement to mask outdoors. So the guidance we're putting out to our schools is masks must be worn indoors at all times. They are not required outdoors. We are recommending that students wear them outdoors when they are congregating with other students, but again, that is not a requirement by the ACPHD, the CBPH, or the CDC. So we're trying to stay consistent with that. I can tell you, based on the survey results, we have a fair amount of people that really want masks worn all the time. We have a fair amount of people that don't want masks worn at all at any time. And that's why I think it's important for us to follow the guidance. And the guidance is mask indoors, outdoors are optional. And so I think that's the best way through right now. It could change at some point in time, but right now that is the guidance. So screening, there is no screening requirement that they check in with us before they come into school. I think that was quite a challenge, I think, for districts that tried to implement that in the spring, and I think the guidance reflects that now, which is not required. We will be sending out, though, a list of symptoms for all parents and staff, and I believe, and I'll ask Mr. McNamara to confirm this, that every morning we will be sending out a text alert reminding parents and staff to go through the symptomatic screening process at home of their students. Is that correct? Okay. So they'll get a daily reminder. Worked really well in summer school. Right. And then we'll be very clear with everybody on what symptoms they should be screening for. And that, again, there's lots of scenarios about I think the other thing that is on people's mind right now is and I think Brent was a perfect example. They're the first district to have opened. I don't know if you've seen the news, but they've been open, I think, a week, and they had a number of cases that were they had a number of positive test cases. And they have about 9,000 students in their district, and I think they had, last I checked, it was about 15 or 18 students. I'm looking around, I don't know why I'm looking around. I know that, but it was a number of students and staff members that tested positive out of that 8,000, and we expect that. We've been dealing with that since we've had students on campus since July of 2020 in pods, and athletic pods, and then academic pods, and we've had, I don't know, Mr. McNamara, how many, we've had a number of 28 we've had 28 different scenarios we've dealt with. By and large, the trend that we see across the country is when students or staff test positive, it's not because of school-based transmission, it's because they've received it in community or at home and brought it to school. And then the protocols and procedures that are in place to deal with that when that happens are pretty well established. And we have a team is really good at doing that as well. So it's inevitable that we'll have somebody test positive, and we will take care of it, and we will follow the proper protocols and procedures. In the section of the plan that deals with exposure, I'm coming back here, health screening for students and staff. It gets down into what happens if you're exposed, lots of different scenarios. It's almost impossible to cover every scenario in one document. It's really fact-specific. But I'd like to call the attention for those interested into a resource that's available. Alameda County put out a great document. So I'm going to go back to our website, and I'm going to go to the Spotlight section under the reopening plan. And I'm going to go down to this guide right here. It's the Alameda County ACOE School Reopening Information and Resources. So this is available again on our website. And if you're curious about what happens when you're exposed and what you should do, what we can do, this document here is designed to provide schools and parents and families and staff members with the latest guidance. It has links to the federal guidance, it has links to the current state guidance, links to the current local guidance. For example, if you wanted to see the latest mask mandate, you would find it under health orders in this screen right here. But I'm going to refer you to additional information, and they have a great flow chart in the back of this document, and I'll put it up on the screen, that shows in kind of a user-friendly way what happens if a student is exposed, what are the steps we have to take. And it's probably, I think it's the best visual depiction of what we do when an exposure occurs. So this is a great document, and the ACOE has been so helpful for schools throughout the pandemic. And again, they've done a great job of putting resources together here for parents and staff members. This is where we go. When we at the district level are looking for the most recent information, we go to this document because it's always here. So anyway, that's that. And then the last part of our plan, let me jump back there, I got out of it here. Just jump back real quick, and then I think we'll be done with this. Can take questions from the board. So the last sections of this plan really focus on some of the resources that we have for parents and students. We've tried to all along incorporate, not just make this a compliance plan, but a plan that actually could be usable for families. I think everybody's if you've made it this far through the pandemic and you're not clear on washing hands and things like that, then you probably haven't been paying attention. But those resources are here for you as well. There's some exposure control information again there, and we have some information about what the training we're going to do. Testing is important. We have testing daily available at Logan, and we are scaling that up to be prepared to provide testing at sites as needed. So for example, if there's some type of an exposure incident at one of our sites, we'd be able to move the testing over there and make sure that we're addressing the needs that are there. So I think we're in a good position right now to be able to do what we need to do and be responsive to whatever may be coming our way with testing for COVID. And then the last part I'll talk about, we've had several, even during in the Q&A part of our session last Thursday, several questions about what kind of mental health supports and social emotional supports are in place. And again, I want to thank the board for approving that $2 million plan last spring. It's fully, we have it up and operational, and all of our sites are, I think, ready for the kids in terms of providing mental health support and for our staff. There's more information here too about the options that are there, and then there's also a link down here to more mental health and physical health resources for our families and communities. And lastly, when you get down to this document, and again, more student and parent support resources that are here, and then at the very end, I'm forgetting some important sections, our special ed section, for parents that have students with special needs. You can find that information here as well. And then lastly, again, links to some of the documents that you can find in that document, the other document on our website, but they're also separately put here. So with that, that's an overview of our plan, and again, it's an action item later on in the agenda, and I'll stop with that.
Trustee Nishimura first.
Thank you so much for that very, very comprehensive plan. One of the things I noticed is the entire plan is under the assumption that SB 98 will remain no longer in effect. We've anticipated a lot of changes possibly, right? So like in December, we don't know, there could be a return back to the colored tier system, right? In which case that could become an option, right? Like if something like this happens. Is our staff prepared? I know that we don't have in the plan because this plan assumes that it doesn't, right? That distance learning is off the table. How confident is staff in the ability to revert back to distance learning if that becomes necessary?
Yeah, that's a discussion that and I want to reiterate that from Dr. Fauci down to Nick Moss, Nick Moss is our local Alameda County public health official. There is no intention or no interest things would have to get very dire before we would ever revert back. So if things started shifting that way, we would need to re-engage with our teachers union and sit down and really talk about. The nice thing is we have a template that we know might not be perfect, but can work. The question would be, if we start to go that way, we would have to engage with them and talk about ways that we could make it better or look at options. But that would be something we haven't engaged in those talks at all yet. And again, there is not even an inkling. In fact, I want to say just the opposite. There's insistence that we are not going to go to that level of lockdown again. From Fauci last Sunday all the way down the line, I think we've seen that schools can stay open. And through the darkest of the days, there were schools that were open, and they were more or less successful. So I don't think there's any political will to revert back. If it starts to shift even a little bit, we'll sit down with our bargaining unit partners and talk about options and plans. But that has not happened yet.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yeah, so, Dr. Thomas, great presentation. Again, this is your area of expertise. You know it like the back of your hand, the way you're flowing through it. In most of our conversations, we've talked about this, and so you're definitely on it. I do want to speak on our the reopening Q&A forum. I attended along with Trustee Conla, and I do want to give credit to Trustee Schwinn-Mallory for bringing it forward that we need to do that. And I was beating on my drum saying we also need this is definitely on the community's mind. And so there are it's probably the top three things in our district. My short time on this board that I'm very proud of. That it was. Extremely professional, well done, informative. It conveyed confidence. Hearing from the community, they even said, people were asking questions that they were curious about, and so they were excited about it. And so, I had to reassure them, like, we're moving forward. This is really happening. And so they're excited. I'm excited, and so again, I just want to commend you guys, the staff, you. It was a great forum. So thank you.
Trustee Conla.
Thank you. I too would like to thank the superintendent for holding the forum last week for the community. I was there along with Trustee Gonzalez. It's just another way of reaching out to the community, making sure that if there are questions that are needing to be asked, that we're available there for them. And I also want to commend the entire staff. I was so impressed that I think everybody was there, right? For everyone to answer questions. So thank you for your dedication, for being available to the community to answer questions. And just for additional information, Dr. Thompson mentioned this already, there's also a link and on our website, so in case you have additional questions, you can access this there as well. And I'm excited for our in-person reopening. This is just exciting. After not seeing students and staff for over a year, this is wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you. I would also like to commend the staff and Dr. Thompson for, the plan and the hard work. I think that having in-person instruction over summer really helped us to solidify our safety plan going into the fall. And also I'd like to commend you for having the community forum and making sure that the community's questions and needs were addressed. And I just wanted to point out a couple things, concerns that, I think might be in the community. So I just want to reiterate, Dr. Thompson, you can confirm, if any parents or guardians are uncomfortable sending their students back to in-person construction, they can enroll in the Dakota School or the PLA program.
Yes, that's true. I would encourage you to do so as soon as possible. Once school starts, it will be, right now we're enrolling students continuously, but once school starts, it's going to be more difficult to transition into that program. So if you have an interest in there, if you're listening out there, please start that process now, because it involves staff movement and things like that that will get very difficult to do after school starts. So now's the time.
Thank you. And then my other clarification is, do we know we have enough circulation with windows and doors closed as we're going into fire season, so in case we need to close them because it's smoky outside?
There's definitely enough circulation through, again, it turns over the air in every classroom 3 to 4 times an hour. Here's the tricky part though. Right now, all of our HVAC systems are open up to 100% fresh, and 100% intake of outside air in. So it brings in fresh air. On a really hot day or a really cold day, it won't be possible to heat or cool that air quickly enough. So it may be a little warm or a little cool under some of those conditions, because we are trying to maximize fresh air coming in. So that would be the only caveat I would add to that, but they'll still work. Smoke days, it's depending on the conditions. I'm hopeful that we won't have them. It sure seems like we will inevitably at some point, but we may end up having more smoke closures like we have in the past this year, due to all of these conditions combined. But that would be, again, we can get the air in, it just might not be ideally as hot or as cold as we would normally like it due to the conditions. And we'll have to weigh them, we'll have to weigh those conditions on a week-by-week, day-by-day basis.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments? We'll be voting on this in item 12.1. Okay. Moving on to section 9, item 9.1. We will now convene a public hearing to receive public testimony regarding the 2019-2020 Local Control and Accountability Plan Annual Update, as well as the documents previously approved by the board referenced above. As this is a public hearing, we will be open to speakers on this item. If you'd like to speak on Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're on the phone, please raise your hand by hitting *9. Do we have any speakers?
We do not have any speakers.
Last call. All right. All right, that's it. Seeing that there are no speakers, we will move on to information items. Our first information item is 10.1. Required quarterly reports regarding complaints filed under the Williams Complaint Procedure 2020-21 for quarter 4. And our staff member for this is Mr. Pisani.
Let's see. So, yeah, this is for the Williams complaint. Yeah, this is just an information item. There's nothing to present. There were no findings.
No complaints. Great. Moving on to item 10.2, items from the board and superintendent. Do you want to go first, Dr. Thompson?
Sure. Okay. Well, we had one of the items I want to talk about is I'm going to be, and we had a speaker talk about this tonight. I'm going to be recommending when we get to board requests, I'm going to have a staff request that we have our policy on facility use looked at by the policy committee. We've had the same policy in place with the same rate since 2003. Nothing's changed. But what appears to have happened is over time, that policy's been implemented and interpreted differently. And so When I came on board, one of the things I told Mr. Rogers, our facilities manager, is, hey, the policy is the policy. The board approved it, it should be implemented fairly and consistently. And it's caused some frustration, I think, because I think there have been some misinterpretations of what that policy actually means. Mr. Rogers has done a little bit of research, and I think there are ways that there are other examples out there that are better than ours where the language is a little clearer, but I do think that should be a task delegated to the policy committee to review, where we can have Mr. Rogers come in and show some different options, and then bring it back to the board if there's a recommendation from that committee, because I think there's enough confusion about it out there that warrants that. So I'll bring that up when we get to the end of the agenda there, but I just wanted to highlight that because that's something I was planning on talking about anyway. Our governance session, unfortunately, we'll need to move that, and so the date that I floated out there unfortunately doesn't work either. So we'll have to, Ms. Valdez and I will work on getting you some additional dates for our next governance session. And let's see, I would like to thank, there's been a lot of hard work and to get us to be able to reopen. Our staff, we had the maintenance operation yard had a little luncheon today for that team over there who's worked so hard, our principals, our teachers getting to this point. So I'd like to thank everybody for getting us ready to launch next week. And I'm really excited about it, and I think we're ready. And we will we'll officially kick it off tomorrow when we do our ribbon cutting in the morning for those of you who are going to be there. So I'm looking forward to that. And those are my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Campbell, do you have anything?
Again, thank you for the superintendent forum last week. That was really informative. I had a lot of comments from the community that they really want to emphasize that they appreciated that, having that extra information. I would also like to thank the staff for all the work, not only the last few months, but all through this 15, 16 months that we were in this different condition, and which continue to change and are flexible in making sure that our students are safe and our staff are safe as well. I'm excited about the beginning of school on August 11th. I can't wait to see the students again. I'm wondering if we're able to visit on the first day of school like we used to, or are we scheduling something for?
We can definitely, if for those of you that are interested, if Ms. Valdez, you can help me remember. I'm going to every school that day, and we can try to figure out a schedule for those that are interested.
Just that day or second day as well?
The second day we'll probably go wherever needed, but I'm going to go to every school. We have our cabinet team travels to every school that day. We usually deliver lunch to our principals that day.
Sounds good. Those are always so exciting. I encourage my fellow board members to come and say hello. Kids are excited, parents are excited. It's just like a celebration. And then I'd also be, I'd like to share also my excitement about the ribbon cutting at Pioneer Service and Logan tomorrow, because the community voted for the bond measures to make sure that we have improved schools, and it's very exciting to see the fruit of everybody's labors. So hopefully we'll see everyone there as well. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful new in-person year. And I know it's going to be a successful year for everyone. Thank you so much.
I see you, Sheriff.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to report, but I will say that I do thank the superintendent for looking into the facilities use issue. I think it's definitely, in addition to Mr. Zarazu's issue, I've also been contacted by other members in the community with similar concerns. So thank you for taking a look at that, and I look forward to hearing the recommendations from the policy committee.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yeah, I just want to share an event. It was Dakota Voices that presented stories of generational educational injustice. I attended along with Trustee Schwinn Mallory, Trustee Chima, and then we had our own staff, Scott Lazari, right? Oh, sorry, I pronounced your name wrong. But it was a great event, a lot of, like every presenter and speaker was very compelling, and, you know, just, it's about healing, it's about, telling their stories, and I've said that our community, is worth telling. It should be a PBS special, just like the, Chavez Ravine or the, Boyle Heights, getting their own special, because we have a lot of rich history and, great people that come out of our community, and it needs to be said, it needs to be told, and so I'm excited. The work we're doing, I've already talked to Dr. Thompson about this, and, we're moving forward on this, and, we're taking this very serious, and so, thank you everybody who attended that, and finally, the other thing I'm proud about is our, return to school, with our, negotiations taken care of. Again, salary schedule, I'm just curious about that, when the time comes up, seeing ours, how we compare to other, districts, and so, thank you for being the leader in that, taking care of our negotiations first, while other school districts are still trying to settle that, and we're, definitely a model for other districts, so, that's it.
Thank you. I'll go now. So I also attended, as Trustee Gonzalez said, the Dakota Voices rally. It was a really great space, and I was able to really hear, you know, people's stories, sharing about what they've experienced in New Haven Unified Schools, and it was just really special, I think, a really special conversation, and it wasn't over politicized, so I think people felt very comfortable sharing their experiences, and I look forward to seeing the results of our data project to see, you know, systematic discrimination against students from Dakota. And I look forward to working together to end that discrimination and to rectify, you know, and heal the past wrongs. One thing I am very proud about is our negotiation with our teachers union. I've been bragging how, you know, we included class size in that negotiation, and I think that that's just a win-win-win for everybody. Teachers, students, staff, the community, the parents, as well as, you know, increasing quality in education. So I've been really going around bragging about how great we did in our negotiations this year. And it's received a lot of appreciation from the community and envy from other districts. So I think we should be really proud of that. Anything else? All right, moving on to item 11. 11.1 is the report from the Budget and Finance Committee. And that would be Member Tamlis or
There is nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Perfect. The next one would be a report from the Communication and Advocacy Committee. Member Nishihira, do you want to give that report?
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to report. You've seen just now a lot of the output from the group. We'll continue working on the website templates. We talked a lot about at the last meeting the website template content and the things that should be on the website and things like that. Spark did a full audit of our site. Now we're going through to figure out like what are things that should be on the website, what are some things that should be pushed to like social media channels and things like that. So with regard to that, it's probably going to be more of the same. Our next meeting is next Thursday, but the committee will continue working hard.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add, I was surprised by the traffic report on our website to see which pages were most accessed. It's very interesting. Okay, next would be the report from the Policy Review Committee. Member Gonzalez, do you want to give that report?
Sure, well, just a couple of items. It was our very first in-person meeting though, so committee, so that was exciting. It was just alone on that was great to see people in person, don't have to wait on a Zoom. The items you see before you that are on the agenda are items that we've discussed and recommended for approval, and we'll decide on that tonight. We did table, we didn't get to when it came to the funding piece of, help me out here.
The bond, there was
The bond or
an updated bond parcel tax, board policy, and we weren't quite sure about the language in there. Subsequently, I found out that the language is exactly the way it should be, so we'll bring that back to our next policy committee.
And our next policy committee is?
I think it's in September, so 29th, when we may need, depending on we have a couple items that I think are headed that way, so we'll take a look at that agenda, and we have the 29th already booked, but if we need to schedule something sooner, we'll take a look at that too. 28th.
Anything else with that? We did some changes on the charter school approval policy, just to express our,
Yeah.
there was some language added that was very vague, and we changed that, and then there was some unneeded language at the beginning that we took out. So,
That's correct.
okay.
I have a question, just as a matter of process. After the policy committee creates recommendations, do we actually run that past legal to make sure that we're within compliance with Ed Code? I want to make sure that we're not making policy changes that actually take us outside of compliance of Ed Code.
That's a great question, and we talked about that a fair amount, and so the changes that all the policies adopted, the legally recommended changes, except for the charter school one where the changes were more wordsmithing and non-substantive, so the substantive part of the policy did not change at all.
Does it make sense, and I'll yield to the policy committee to just think about is having a standard part of your process when you make material changes, or maybe even not material changes, but like changes that could be interpreted a certain way, to just by a matter of process, just have legal take a look at it and make sure that we're still within the spirit and the letter of the law. I don't know. I'll yield to the committee on that, but just as a point of suggestion.
Well, no, this was our very first meeting. I want to give us a break here.
Oh, okay.
But we adhere to the Ed Code at all times, so.
Yeah, if any of the changes that we wanted to make if we were concerned at all that they wouldn't be in compliance with Ed Code, we would have definitely sought the advice of the legal. I don't see any reason to cause ourselves expense if we're completely confident about what we changed. The stuff that we changed was kind of some subjective, like, insertion of opinion rather than actual policy.
I think an example of that is, again, the changes made to the charter school policy were non-substantive, more clarification-wise, but the parcel one, we were looking at that, and we realized that we didn't have the expertise, and we were meddling in an area that potentially could be substantively different, so we stopped, and then we sent it to our council, and they reviewed it and sent it back. So I think we're trying to be we spent a fair amount of time talking about that. Where is that line, and what is it? And I feel really comfortable with the recommendations that went forward in the process so far.
Great. Any more questions? All right, do we have any other committee reports? Yes, trustee Nicole.
Yes, there was a SELPA. This is for a SELPA meeting. I'm on that committee, and this happened in June. So in Dr. Thompson's place, Ms. Hillman went, and she was the perfect person to go because it was mostly about budget, and so she doesn't take any wooden nickels. She was asking those tough questions and kept them on their toes, and really kept them on their toes. She was asking some good questions, and so she knows her budget, she knows her stuff, and so really, really proud of her, what she's doing. But there's a couple things that to talk about. So the return of the Special Olympics. And so very exciting this year. Fremont Unified is hosting the soccer games, and Logan track and fields. And that's something we're huge at though, and this gives us great pride in our district. You know, we really do it well in our district. So that's happening. Number two is, and I keep boasting about our district and how we have the, as far as the IEPs taken care of on time. Despite being in a pandemic, we take care of our business, and so that was something we can hold our head up high. Amazing work from our special education staff, holding those IEPs on time. SELPA is in our own district, New Haven Unified School District, is providing staff PD for returning back to school. So that's happening. Summer school is an amazing success this summer for special education students. So great job there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports?
Yeah, New Haven Schools Foundation. We had a board meeting. Not a whole lot to report. It was closing out the fiscal year. The foundation was expecting a really big loss in operating income, but happily we ended up in the black this year, despite having no gala, despite having the foundation is doing a lot better than we had expected. So keep up the support. Thank you to the community for all the support that it gives to the foundation, and looking forward to another great year next year.
Great. Don't think we have any other committees or?
It's just a reminder, our next AXPA meeting is on September 23rd, and we are hoping that this is going to be in person, so we'll keep you posted. It will be a celebration, so there will be food involved. So again, the date is September 23rd.
What time?
It's usually at 6 o'clock. You will be sent an invite, and will be coming from Penny Tech.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to action items. First action item is item 12.1, which is the adoption of the 2021-2022 return to in-person instruction plan. So may I have a motion and a second to adopt the 2021-2022 return to in-person instruction plan?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chandler.
Aye.
Nishihiro.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Sweat Mallory.
Aye. All right, next item is 12.2, recommended approval of readmission. Let me get my notes here. May I have a motion and a second to approve the readmission of student number 1 and to conditionally approve the readmission of student number 2 and number 3?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
It's just for the staff, the dates and the conditions and terms will be shared with you, offline.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, roll call, please.
Chandler.
Aye.
Nishihiro.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Sweat Mallory.
Aye. All right, the next is item 12.3, recommended denial of readmission. I just want to check my notes here. Okay. May I have a motion and a second to deny readmission to student number 3?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Chandler.
Aye.
Nishihiro.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Sweat Mallory.
Aye. Next item is item 12.4, the approval of the memorandum of understanding with California State University Northridge for 2021 and 2022. Is there any precondition or information on this? Okay. May I have a motion and second to approve the memorandum of understanding with the California State University Northridge for 2021-2022?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihiro,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Whitmire.
Aye. We're on item 12.5, approval of Inner Flourishing LLC consultant/facilitator agreement. May I have a motion and a second to approve the Inner Flourishing LLC consultant/facilitator agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihiro,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Whitmire.
Aye. Our next item is 12.6, revised board policy number I-6158, independent studies. May I have a motion and a second to approve the revised board policy number I-6158, independent studies?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Discussion?
Yes.
Is there a reason why this particular policy is not in with the other policy in consent?
That's a good question. Yeah, this one is kind of it's based on the legislative changes that came to us in early July. So the legislature made changes to how we have to operate our independent studies programs, and in order to operate them this year, this policy must be approved prior to the start of school.
Okay.
So there was no time to go through the normal process on this, and there isn't any discretion either. So this is what these are just the new rules by which independent study programs operate. We're lucky, our programs, we have two very good programs in place that are well established, and so we made some minor adjustments, but for the most part, it wasn't a huge lift for us, but there is no real flexibility or discretion on approving this. We have to approve it.
Thanks for that explanation.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihiro,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Whitmire.
Aye. Next, we have our consent agenda, section 13. Are there any items on which the trustees have questions or need clarification or would like pulled for a separate vote? Due to a pending change order, item 13.8 will be pulled and resubmitted with a change order at the August 17th board meeting. Is there anything else that any trustee wants to pull? Okay. May I have a motion and second to approve consent agenda items 13.1 through 13.7 and 13.9 through 13.6? This is, okay.
Reading.
All right, 13.50, we have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not that we can have discussion. Okay, roll call, please.
Canlis,
Aye.
Ishihiro,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Whitmire.
Aye. Okay, the next section is 14, since we are moving the removed item to the next board meeting, there's nothing for us to review. Section 15, item 15.1 is assessment of governance procedures and protocols. Are there any items on which trustees have questions or, oh, yes, the issue.
Very, very smooth meeting. Really well run, good timing, and very smooth. So, great job, President.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
I was just gonna say the same thing. You did an excellent job. Thank you for a very nicely, planned meeting. Good leader.
Thanks. Yes, Trustee Gonzalez?
Just, again, want to commend you and piggyback off my fellow trustees. You did a great job. This is our first in-person, and the pressure was on, and possibly media could have been here, and you stepped up to the plate. You did a great job, so kudos to you.
May I have a request from Mr. McNamara? We need to document this day. Do we have a camera somewhere or a phone? Take a picture of this board.
Mr. Mattis or Mr. McNamara? What
Anybody,
Oh,
anyone.
Matt is good too, because it's nice and tall.
It's a more flattering angle.
That's right, I can get kind of the helicopter view down.
Although we are all wearing masks.
It's okay, it's a
Be
good
compliant.
Yeah.
part of, the way it is right now.
Oh, very nice. Okay, everybody smile.
Sounds great. All right.
Nobody smiles, Mr. Matos.
I think everybody smiles.
Thank you. Thank you. We can always rely on Mr. Mattis for a good joke. Okay, so.
It's our historian.
Apparently 8 o'clock. Okay, so we're on item 16.1 under board consensus, board member request. I believe Dr. Thompson wants to first go over some previous requests, which are pending.
Yes, thank you. So, the last board meeting, the board requested an audit of the title of cabinet members. We have completed that, so we'll share that with you. Just the quick previews. I think we're one of the only districts that doesn't use the assistant superintendent title. So what I'll do is I'll share it with all of you, and I think this is something that, again, as far as policy goes, it would be a change in our policy, and so I would recommend that we move that there to see if we want to make a change in how we operate those titles. But but I'll share that, we have that now, and I'll share that information with you in that board communication. Let's see. We also, we had the bond requested information about whether or not we should pursue any kind of an initiative. That's going to the next policy committee meeting, so that one's still an unresolved or not completed task. The big one is the Dakota data request, and I'm actually kind of excited about where we're heading with this. So the short is we are absolutely going to get this done, and it will become part of our annual review. At the end of this year, our equity-based goal is to have an equity report card where we measure, where we take a look at all of the different main categories in the district, and we have kind of an annual review and something that we can look at year over year over year. And when we get the Dakota geographical region identified, we'll be able to track it that way as well. So that is the long-term goal. Short-term, we've had some challenges. It requires quite a bit of labor to develop this in our database. We have one person in the district who can do it. She's just been so pulled away with other things that we're actually going to be looking at outsourcing it, just because I was hoping we'd get it done in July, but July never slowed down. So my plan is that on the 17th to come back to the board with a definitive timeline saying, okay, here's what we're doing, here's how we're doing it, and this is when it'll be done. So we should have that all laid out. The good news is it's perfectly meshed with the work we're doing in the other areas related to our goal 2. And so we'll be able to mesh it perfectly in and have that, it'll become an annualized process where that's just one of the, just much like we look at the data from different schools, different grade levels, different ethnic groups, and we'll be able to have this as a geographical region that we focus on as well. So it's a great request. It's something that will definitely happen. And at the next board meeting, you'll have a timeline with a plan, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Do any trustees have requests made?
Yeah, we're asking everyone to have a great year.
Would you mind, Dr. Thompson, clarifying the request regarding the facilities use? Like, what is the specific?
Thank you. Yeah, and I would ask that the board, I think this is probably something that we can reach consensus on, to have our policy on facilities use and the rate structure fees and all that, have it reviewed by the policy committee. If the board's okay with that, we can add it to this list and we'll put it on, is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
I see consensus for that.
I'd like to end tonight's meeting in honor of someone in our community that passed away. A friend of mine grew up in my neighborhood. His family went to the New Haven schools, James Poland. He died last Wednesday. He was homeless, living in, a train hit him. He was trying to get out. He was sleeping in a tunnel and a train hit him. But it's just someone, that fell on hard times. He had I forgot exactly, the most popular or something in the Cesar Chavez, yearbook. And, just someone who unfortunately, passed away, is no longer with us. And, I'd just like to, honor him tonight by closing our meeting.
I think we have consensus on that. No? Okay. Are there any other requests? I have one, I think I brought it up at a previous meeting, but I don't know if we reached consensus, which is, I would like for the policy committee to, review any policies we might have on transgender athletes and, look at crafting a policy, that affirms, our students' gender identity in, affirmation of our values. So, and that might require some consult from legal to make sure that we, craft something that is in line with state law and federal law. So, do we have consensus?
Yes.
Yes, okay, we have consensus.
Got it.
Great. If there are no more requests, we will adjourn in the honor of James Coleman.
Great job.
Cross with the translator.